Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Silver Savage podcast. I'm actually recording this in Indiana, and those of you that follow my Instagram know that I did not sleep much last night. I know I couldn't fall asleep. Brain was racing on a million and one things, including this podcast for you guys. I am recording this on December 31st, which seemed appropriate for the New Year podcast, which you guys are gonna get. It's going to drop tomorrow, so January 1st you will all have access to it. So me not sleeping last night and thinking about what I want to share with you makes complete sense, and if nothing else, it is symbolic of this past year, right? Constantly on the go, responding to unexpected events and trying to make the best out of it, right? So didn't sleep last night. What I did is I woke up around 1:15. As I said, we're in Indiana, staying in a hotel, went down to the gym, got a killer workout, got a chance to record a reel for you guys. So if you haven't, go ahead and check my social media, my Instagram specifically, and got some emails done, got some work done. So overall, just making the best out of it is what 2023 was all about, including last night. And I have a feeling that 2024, at least at the beginning, will be a continuation of that. Since I mentioned social media, for those of you that don't follow my social media already, please go ahead and follow. There are three handles that you want to follow. One of them is my personal one. It's just BK Battle Ready, all one word. Second one is Masada Tactical. As you guys know, that is our main company. It has a bunch of offshoots under it. Does all the tactical training, corporate security, consulting, including teaching self-defense. If you're in Maryland, come and check us out. So Masada Tactical, one word. And the last one, obviously, is Silver Savage. So Silver Savage handle on Instagram is silver_savage45. And as I said, I spent last night recording a little reel for you, so go ahead and check it out. It was 2 a.m. I'm not going to repeat myself in terms of that Happy New Year, I guess, blessing, or what would you call it, wishes. So go and check that reel if you wanna see more on that. In today's podcast, I will cover how to set ourselves up for a successful 2024. All right, so you heard me mention it before, but the way I see it, there are 5 pillars that make a complete savage. And if you're listening to this podcast, you obviously fall under that category. And just so we understand, again, I know I mentioned in the past, but when I say savage, it does not mean necessarily in the martial arts or as a warrior. It can also be in business. It can be with our families, in our communities, right? And ultimately with ourselves as well, right? So savage encompasses a lot of things. Also, I know I geared a lot in the masculine form. It applies to feminine or to women just as much. I know a lot of women that are savages, and I'm loving the fact that more of you are listening to this podcast and following us. But yeah, if you want to know how to be a savage, there are 5 pillars, right? Which includes our body, our mind, our relationship, business, and the warrior-specific skills. So as I go through this, I'm going to touch on each and every one of them. Now, understand this. I'm not a big believer in New Year resolutions, right? We all know those don't work. And those of us that go to gyms know that we always see that influx of memberships on January 1st that lasts about 3-4 weeks. Then it dies off again because people don't stay consistent about it. So I don't believe in New Year resolutions, but there is something psychological about putting a date to something that makes people want to do it, or at least get that initial impetus to do so, right? So with that said, just understand I am a big believer of continuously or regularly auditing our lives, right? Checking where we are in relation to where we want to be and making course adjustments as needed as we go through it. And December 31st is a good date as any to do so. So as we go through this, I'm going to tell you those 5 pillars and what I think you should audit, what I think you should look for, and how to go about doing that. I will refer to one sentence frequently in this episode, so take note of it. And we all know the sentence, but it goes like this, right? Those who fail to plan to fail, right? So whether we're talking about our body, we're talking about our business, we're talking about relationships, right? If I do not come up with a plan, if I do not know what my end goal or my end intended result is, I will not be able to get there. And ultimately just relying on hoping and guessing is just not a good strategy, right? So we're going to try to avoid doing that by setting ourselves map, right? So the first one is The first pillar is our body. Now, I spoke about our body. We're talking about fitness. We're talking about nutrition. We're talking about taking care of ourselves in many, many episodes, right? Starting with, I believe, the very first or second episode of the Silver Savage podcast, where we had Dr. Nager on. So I'm not going to go too deep into that, but ultimately, it's enough to say that if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anything else, right? You can't take care of your family. You can't take care of your business. It's impossible, right? So if you don't work out, if you don't watch your nutrition, the machine that makes it all possible, being your body, just not going to function when you need it to, right? We're under a lot of stress as is, again, whether it's being personal life, whether it's being the business that we're in, right? Or again, just by means of working out. And if you are a professional warrior, just putting yourself in positions where that stress is elevated. And if our body cannot manage it, right, we're setting ourselves up for failure, right? If I think about if I want to enjoy my friends and family, if I want to be able to hang out with them, I want to be able to be in good health, right? If I'm sick all the time, if I'm broken, if this is aching and that is aching, I can't go out with my friends, I can't play ball with my kids, right? I can't enjoy my wife. So taking care of my body is obviously super important. Now, this is the thing, you want to start, so when you look back at 2023, you should get a little snapshot of where you are right now, and we should all understand that we're not perfect. So the first thing you're going to do going into 2024 is schedule an appointment for a complete checkup. You're going to get a complete physical. If you're a Silver Savage in our age group, you know how important it is. You want to get that finger up the butt as well. There's some things that are easy to avoid and prevent and address early in life, or early in the with an early diagnosis, than waiting till later where it's too late and we're just missing an opportunity. So go ahead and get that physical done, get the full blood work, go see an eye doctor. I spoke about all of it in the past, and I will actually link those episodes where we talk about fitness, nutrition, and getting those physicals to these podcasts, so you guys can refer back to them. So I don't have to speak about it too much. Also figure out your goal, right? Whether it's losing weight, increasing muscle mass, right? If you have an athletic or skill specific that you want to develop, right? So figure out that goal, then get with a professional, please, please, please. This is the main reason why people quit, right? They don't have that support system. So I want you to get with a professional that's not only going to help you create the plan that's specific for your goal, right? Because working for muscle mass and working for an athletic specific skill set, right, there are two different ways of working out. So help that professional help you, but more importantly, hold you accountable, right? Meeting with a trainer or having someone to check in with to check your progress is going to hold you accountable, right? So this applies to fitness and nutrition. So go ahead, check the linked episode where I talk about it, and take those steps. Personal training is not very expensive. It is doable. And if you guys can't do that, just reach out to me. Okay, I'll be more than happy to give you some guidance. I'll be more than happy to hold you accountable as needed. Next pillar, our mind. So the saying goes, the day you stop learning is the day you start dying. So no matter who you are and what you do, there is always room for growth. You do not know everything. When I work with my coaching clients, I talk to them about breathing exercise and meditation and continuous learning, right? This is important. So this is the question I want you to ask yourself looking back at 2023. How many books did you read this past year? How many lessons from those books did you actually apply? Because this is the thing, it's not enough for me just to read a book, right? But it's important that I take a lesson, a skill, something tangible from that book and apply it. That is how learning is done, right? So as you move into 2024, I want you to make it a priority to read more and apply those lessons immediately. So one thing I tell my coaching clients is when you finish reading, there's a certain amount that they need to read. There's also specific books they need to read. So I wanted to take a tangible step and immediately apply it to their life, to their business, to whatever it is, and see how that works. And if it worked, great. If it didn't work, chuck it, but at least we learn from it, right? And if we don't do that, then it's just a wasted opportunity, because we don't remember everything that was in those books unless we go ahead and apply it. Now, this is another thing that I tell our coaching clients, and it's important that you guys understand. Whatever it is that you read and learn does not have to be specific to your skill set, right? So I'll give you an example. I just finished reading 2 books. One of them was on WordPress, and the other one was about photography. Now understand this, I'm never going to be a professional photographer. I don't want to code websites or anything like that. But by reading those books, first of all, it gives me an understanding when I talk to people that do my websites or with people that do my social media, right? I can understand in what they're talking about, right? But it allows me also to get more creative in the things that I do. I look at things from a different lens, pun intended over there, right? But the reality is that taking or reading that photography book allowed me to see, okay, this is how people see different images. And when I'm teaching now and demonstrating skills, I keep that in the back of my mind to make sure that I apply those lessons I learned from photography to the way I teach self-defense. So it really allows us to expand or broaden our horizon in a sense and start approaching and addressing our tasks from a different point of view. So go ahead and learn something new. Third pillar is relationships, right? So as you look back at 2023, did you invest in those relationships? Did you find yourself deepening connections with your circles of friends and family, right? And colleagues? Or did you let those drift away? So at the end of the day, and humans are a social animal, whether we want to admit it or not, we need people. You may be an introvert that completely hates talking to other people, or you may not, but the reality is that you never achieved anything on your own, right? From the family that supports you while you're at work and doing your thing, and they're still home, taking care of the household and kids and whatnot, to your colleagues that help you, to your staff that works for you, to your clients that buy your services or products, right? We depended on other people for our growth. So relationships is at the end of the day what matters the most. And I'm going to tie or close that loop again in the future or in a second. So take the opportunity to assess those today. Figure out what made old relationships stronger, right? And how to make new relationships meaningful. Because at the end of the day, that is what matters. So every person that comes into your life comes into your life for a reason. I truly believe that. And you may not necessarily know yet, you may not understand why that person is in your life or why that person left your life, right? But the lesson is there and it's up to us to find it. So don't waste opportunities of interacting with other people to learn from them. And as importantly, to let them learn from you, because you don't know when that's going to come around at some point. I shared this in a prior podcast, I believe. I certainly shared it with our coaching clients, but following a practice that I do, I reach out to someone I haven't spoken to in a while, excuse me. And turns out that person said, listen, BK, I completely forgot about you, but honestly, I'm glad you just messaged me. I just had a contact call me about a potential project, and it's exactly the type of work that you do. Would you be interested? Just by me making an effort to deepen a relationship with someone who I've been out of touch with, I potentially got a new contract out of it. So, learn from those relationships, grow those relationships. At the end of the day, you both will benefit from it. Pillar number 4, business, right? So listen, 2023 was a shit show from a bunch of different reasons, and we can go ahead and blame the economy, blame politics, blame our neighbors, our ex-wives, it doesn't matter, right? But ultimately, we all have the capability of making our lives, our business more successful. So whether you're an entrepreneur and you're running your business, or you work for another company and organization and you can just be a force multiplier for them and an asset, right? This is what I want you to do in 2024 is I want you to start applying more tools into your business. As I said, it's not just about what I'm reading, it's also how I'm applying it. So look back at the past year, and more specifically, what I want you to look at is I want you to look at the bank account, and if you're an entrepreneur, look at your business bank accounts, because that's all we have to do really to make sure or to see did 2023 work out the way we intended or it didn't. If the bank account is not where we want it to be, then we messed out somewhere along the way. If it's now there, then figure out why. Where I'm making the mistakes, right? Is it something in my budget? Is it I'm not producing enough? Is it I'm spending too much somewhere else? We should all be able to have a handle of our numbers, figure out where we are. And as we said before, right, if I fail to plan, I plan to fail. Then going into 2024, I want you to figure out, okay, how do I make that financial situation better? Okay, so start creating better budgets, start investing more in marketing and advertising if you need to. Listen, marketing and advertisement is free these days. We all have access to social media. We can all put our brand out there, whether that brand is our company or it's ourselves, right? We can all do that at zero cost. So you need to go and start doing that, right? Start coming up with the end goal. Where do I want to be? How much money I want to make, right? And then figure out, okay, what steps do I need to take in order to get there, and start applying those. Stop blaming other people. Start putting the work yourself. And if you don't know how to go about it, again, just reach out to me. Send me a direct message. I'll be more than happy to help you. And lastly, 5th pillar is what we call the warrior-specific skills. So this is the thing. If you're listening to the podcast, I assume you're savage already. And you already know that the world outside is getting crazier. It's getting shittier. It's unsafe, right? Whether we look at the United States, specifically from the southern border with the immigrants to crime in inner cities to potential terrorism taking place here. If we're looking globally, we look at Europe, we look at Israel, the Middle East, right? We understand that the world is not going to get any better anytime soon. And listen, none of us is going to solve world problems, but we can certainly take the steps to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. So if you're looking at this past year, did you take the steps needed to make sure that if an emergency happens, an emergency can be man-made, like we just discussed, like one chaotic environment, or it can be a natural disaster, right? It doesn't matter. End result, you have the tools and the know-how to protect yourself and your loved ones, right? So did you take some medical classes? Did you invest in buying some gear, right? From firearms to medical gear to supplies for case of emergency, right? Going back to relationships, as I said before, it all comes down to relationships. Did you invest to create those networks and support that if something happens, you know that your community, your tribe, the people that you count on are going to be there to help you and you to help them, right? So as you look forward to 2024, this is what I want you to do. If you don't already, go join the self-defense school. Masada Tactical is obviously a natural, obvious place to go. We happen to be the best around. But if you're not locally or geographically capable of attending classes, just find any self-defense school. It doesn't matter the martial art that they teach or don't teach. They're all good. They all teach us things about ourselves, about our capabilities, right? They all will teach you skills that you can, God forbid, you can apply in self-defense. So whether you do jiu-jitsu, you do karate, you do boxing, you do Muay Thai, you do Krav Maga, it doesn't matter. Just do something. Go and join a self-defense school. Buy a firearm. Okay, if you haven't already, politics change, laws and regulations change. Lately, they've been changing in favor of gun ownership, but that may change in an instant. So go ahead and buy a firearm before you're not allowed to do or cannot do so anymore. Also, I have a feeling that prices are going to go up as the political climates get more and more uncertain. So take advantage of the opportunity, but it's not enough to just buy a firearm. Also make sure that you take the time to attend classes and learn how to use it. Not just go to the range and shoot at a paper target statically, but some tactical courses in the sense of putting some stress on yourself, working around different angles and different positions. Just know, God forbid, you have to use it, what will happen and how to do it correctly. If you don't already, buy some emergency meals. Have those stored away somewhere. I have, it looks like a 5-gallon bucket, but it has food for like 100 days and it will be good for about 20 years. So it doesn't cost very much and it definitely gives you some peace of mind. And as I said, create a tribe. Okay, go to your neighbors, all right? Do they have skills that you don't? Maybe one of them is a doctor, maybe one of them is a mechanic, maybe one of them is your gun nut, whatever it is, right? But you guys go and get together and you augment each other, and those relationships will matter when you need to help each other at the end of the day. And listen, it's not a question of whether it's going to happen. It's a question of when it's going to happen, right? So we all know it, so go ahead and take the steps you need to establish those relationships. And again, to close that loop, we talked about body, right? If you're out of shape and unhealthy, God forbid an emergency happen, you can't help yourself or anybody else. Your mind, right? If you're overly stressed, depressed, right? You didn't take the time to meditate, to get that peace within yourself, or you didn't learn any skills, right? Then your mind is going to fail you when you need to. I talk about relationship. We talk about business. If you don't have the money to do those things, right? How much better off would you be if you had the capital to reinforce your house, right? Or if you had the capital to buy a few more guns or some more ammo, right? Or if you had the capital to have a retreat somewhere else that you can go to in case of emergency. So ultimately, the business also helps our natural survival, right? So all of these come together at the end of the day, which is why they're considered, in my mind, the 5 pillars of a true savage. So that is it for you, okay? Take a moment today, look back at the last year, take a quick audit of those 5 pillars, where you are, create yourself a goal, a map of where you want to be and how to get there, and then start implementing small, steady steps. I want to wish all you guys savages out there a very happy new year. I hope 2024 is less of a shit show than 2023 was. If you want more information about our coaching program, please direct message me. We had a very successful initial beta group that went through it. It's been going for over a month. Feedback I received from them, they can talk to it a lot more objectively than I do, but the feedback I received was very positive. So we're going to keep going and we're going to keep growing it. a lot of new tools, skills, and lessons in the works. So if you feel like you need support in any of those 5 pillars, if you need to get direct coaching from me, or you want to interact with a group of other savages, people that have been there, done that, they're all alpha, super professional, super successful in their own field. So these are people that can certainly help you and be part of your network. Again, DM me and we'll make sure to send you all the information to how to join our Silver Savage coaching group. And that's it, guys. Stay savage. Happy New Year.